Why did I know you would enjoy being in this video about combining finances?
Because I was right about most of it.
Because you could say you told me so.
Yeah.
Hello, thanks for checking out my channel. In this video today, we're going to talk about the benefits, the drawbacks, and everything in between about combining finances when you get married. With a special guest, my wife, Mrs. Garrity, Jen, who reluctantly decided to join me in this video, deciding that she wanted to, well, brag.
I was right.
So if you're watching this because you're coming up on a marriage, maybe you just got engaged, congratulations, welcome to the club. Life is good. And if you're planning the wedding, maybe you're talking about the guest list, the music, budget for the wedding, the cookie table if you're from this area. But one of the most important things you can talk about when you're getting ready to get married is how are we going to handle our money together? And that's the key word, together. Are we going to combine our finances? Are we going to stay separate with our money? Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, you should be combining your finances when you get married for a myriad of reasons that we will go through in this video. If you're anything like I was when I first got married, you probably have no interest in this. But after going through a transformative process with my wife to actually get on the same page about our money and pay off $97,000 of debt, I can tell you that it really did wonders for our marriage. I truly believe that the way you handle money in marriage can either make it or break it. I'm sure by now you've heard the stat that half of marriages, or more than half of marriages, end in divorce. 2018 alone, the CDC reports there were nearly 790,000 divorces in America. Financial problems can lead to a lot of other compounding issues in marriages. Think about it. With money problems, oftentimes come other issues like gambling, maybe infidelity, substance abuse, health issues, which can lead to other issues down the line, whether it's physical health or mental health. As much as we like to say money isn't everything, which it isn't, it sure is tied to a bunch of things. But the flip side of that is I think that if you handle money correctly as a couple, it strengthens your communication, your trust in each other, and your shared goals, which ultimately gives you room to breathe, which just feels nice. So I'm going to give you the skinny kind of on how to combine your finances when you're getting married and why I think you should combine your finances when you're getting married. But before we get into that, please do me a favor. You know where we're going with this. Subscribe and like this video. That's going to help me grow it and get this message to as many people as we possibly can. People who are just like me, maybe just like you, who just needed a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of information to help you on the start of your financial transformation. And with that, number one, it just makes things simpler. I really think it does. I used to treat money like it was I think people make money more complicated than it actually is. Money is not that difficult. You got to get down to the P's and Q's. The peanut butter and jelly. The nuts and bolts. Salt and pepper. Okay, we're done. You combine bank accounts with your husband and wife. First of all, that gives you fewer accounts to look after, fewer passwords to remember, fewer risks for overdraft fees.
Having everything in one place, you could see it as a whole, looking where each individual dollar
As a what?
As a whole. What? Is that not how you say it?
As a hall? Like you walk down the hall? When you boil it down to one or maybe two accounts, you have a very, very clear image of what's coming in and what's going out. That makes it very easy to budget, which, as we covered in my video, how to budget, budgeting is the number one step towards financial freedom. Walk me through what happened when we first got married and you said to me, hey, I think we should have one bank account.
You laughed at me.
I didn't laugh. I said no, I didn't laugh.
The benefit that you thought it wasn't enough to overcome the laziness of not wanting to do it.
What are the biggest areas that you stand to gain when combining finances when getting married is with your communication skills. Because now we work as a team when it comes to our money. We discuss every major purchase we're going to have. We discuss how we're going to be generous with our money. We discuss how we're going to have fun with our money. We talk about the big purchases instead of just getting them and then coming home and saying, look what I bought. Because when we treat it like our money, we have to agree on what we're spending. See that? So I bought that microphone over there. That was $90. Mm-hmm. I didn't ask you first.
Yeah, I noticed.
And because, as I mentioned, if you learn how to talk about money, you're learning how to talk about bigger issues. But it was messy at first.
I think that there's a lot of arguments until you do get on the same page. At least personally,
It's not comfortable.
No,
at first.
It's
And here's the truth. If you want to do this well, you have to be patient. If you don't like the way your partner's spending money, you have to be delicate in the way you approach it. If you're an overspender, you need to be willing to be told, no, it's time for your debit card to go away. If somebody approaches you about money and you get defensive about it, the conversation is over. Was there ever a moment where you thought he needs to have his debit card taken away from him?
yes, several moments. I think it was the toilet paper wrapping paper that you purchased last week. $30 for like wrapping 3 presents. For the amount that they gave you was a complete waste.
We're gonna bring joy to someone's life.
No, see, here's the thing.
But here, let's. See, I love that. Jen does not
I sound
love
like
that.
the bad guy.
You're not the bad guy on this one. Fair warning, this is the section where I'm going to start to sound like your old wise uncle who thinks he knows how you should be doing everything in your life. Back in my day, be willing to have these conversations. Sometimes it involves just saying, I'll meet you at the table, we'll turn off the phones, we'll turn off the TV, pour a glass of wine, pour a cup of coffee, whatever your poison this week is. And we're going to talk about this, and we're not going to leave the table until we're done talking about it. We're not going to say things that are unproductive. We're just going to stick to what are we trying to accomplish and how do we come to a mutual understanding. This is tough, but you have to do it. If you lay these foundations of conversations now about these difficult issues, it's going to be a lot easier to have them moving on. Point being, money is such a delicate thing to talk about, and it's tied into so much of us, like personally. Once you figure out how to effectively talk about it with one another, I think you'll be able to talk about a lot of other things that may be on your mind. And of course, Rocco's gonna make his way into this shot as well. Now it's his shot. Okay. All right. But it wouldn't be fair of me to not share with you what some of the drawbacks are of combining finances with your spouse. If you don't handle this one delicately, it can be messy. It can lead to things that maybe you wish you hadn't have said, or maybe you wish you would have said differently. That could lead to some very uncomfortable first weeks, months, or even years of marriage. I'll be honest, one of my mentors in life told me once that he and his wife kept separate bank accounts and they never argued about money. And look, I think that's a fair point, but I worry about if you don't combine finances and if you don't have those conversations about your shared goals and the steps towards those shared goals, that maybe you're missing out on some really big gains. Don't forget about the power of teamwork.
Controlling every single dollar, making it have a purpose. You can't do that when you have separated bank accounts.
Why not?
Well, then you have to trust what I'm doing and trust what you're doing. You can't trust me, I can't trust you. That's obvious. You have to...
As messy as it was in the beginning when we were trying to figure out each other's financial language, once we finally got to the point, not only were we just good about talking about money, we learned how to talk to each other about a lot of difficult topics. We have a fairly better idea of how each other communicates, and we can approach these conversations a little more delicately and in a more productive way, so we're not just screaming at each other.
I was right!
Without combining finances, my wife and I would have had no chance in hell of paying off that $97,000 of mostly student debt, because we had to have a unified force to follow the snowball method, which turned out to be the most efficient for us. And financially, now everyth's in the light of day. She knows that there's times maybe I should have my debit card taken away. Siete chips, which cost $5 a bag,
I
but
think he eats like maybe a bag a day.
but that's the price you pay for clean ingredients. And I know that without her, we would have no money.
I would hoard it, and I would
Like a squirrel or a chipmunk
I have
preparing
my own,
for
I have
wintertime.
my own.
She would hide it around the house because she knew if I found it, it was done for.
You lose your keys.
I lost.
Lose your wallet.
Well, we never had
You've had like 80 pairs of sunglasses.
But in the 5 years we've been together, we've never communicated better, and I'm really happy that that's how we're starting our marriage. Do you think at 2 years in, get a good starting point for a healthy marriage?
Yes, working so hard towards. We've had other people.
There's a camera right.
Oh my gosh.
If you have decided to combine your finances, it's pretty easy. maybe deceptively so. First of all, if you have maybe 2 separate banks, pick the one you want to stick with. Personally, I would always say opt in for smaller banks, credit unions if possible, regional banks. And also, by the way, I cannot stress this one enough, especially to my millennial brethren and sisters, don't combine your money until you get married. Don't be paying for each other's things outside of dinner. And look, maybe that feels old-fashioned. Back in my day, maybe you're thinking marriage is kind of a formality when it comes to money, but it's more than that. It's actually a legal harbor for you. Think about it this way. You buy a home with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and God forbid, something tragic happens to them. Now you own a house with her parents. And I hope you get along, because there's going to be some pretty uncomfortable conversations coming up about the next steps forward. And here's what I hear all the time. Not going to happen with us. We're fine. Love each other. That's not going to happen. You're probably right, especially if you got to the point where you put a ring on it. But in my opinion, it's just not worth the risk. Just get married. Being married's pretty great. Losing someone is tough enough, whether it's through an unfortunate accident, a death, or just a bad breakup. You don't need financial burden on top of that you could have otherwise avoided. But hey, like I said in the beginning of this video, truly, when you get married, money can either make it or break it for your marriage. It can either make it strong or weak. I wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm glad we got that ugliness out of the way. Like, that was tough.
In this whole grand scheme of things, you were really the savior.
Literally, without you, also, this wouldn't have happened. And that's the point of this particular video, is you have to be working in the same direction. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck combining finances. Seriously, good luck. It's not easy, but once you get through it, it's so worth it. Let me know in the comments how it's going for you. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.